What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Is your host, Scott Katamas.
Hello, welcome everybody. I'm not quite sure who is doing a little extra added introduction to myself, but thank you very much. And welcome. It is Saturday night, and it's another edition of The Awakening World. And I am your host, Scott Katamas, and I am really excited because I have one of my favorite people as my co-host tonight. And I am talking about Reverend Deborah Moldow, Executive Director of the Evolutionary Leaders. And it's been a really exciting week because this was the week that Deborah introduced almost 50 new evolutionary leaders, by far the largest that's ever come in at any one time. And so we're celebrating that. And welcome, Deborah.
You know, Scott, I'm sure that you say that about all your co-hosts.
Well, I've never said this is my least favorite co-host.
It's always such a joy to be here in this room with you and the Global Peace Tribe. You really have brought together such a beautiful community. And I know that everybody who's in the Zoom room with us now, who's watching on Facebook, who's watching on YouTube, these are the people who are leading the evolution. So we who have something called the Evolutionary Leaders Circle, we don't in any sense pretend to be the only ones who are the evolutionary leaders. It's just that this is a community. And I have to say, and I know that you feel this way too, Scott, that the two welcome calls that we had this week with our new evolutionary leaders just turned into a showcase for some of the most brilliant, inspiring, exciting people on the planet. We are so proud of our new class, as you would say, of evolutionary leaders. And I'm excited because a number of them are on this program tonight. And you know what? I'm doubly excited because a number of them I met on this program before they became members of the Evolutionary Leaders Circle. So that's really special. And I think everybody in this community can be really proud of that.
That is really beautiful. And you know what? I should let people know who is going to be with us. Tatiana Speed is back. And of course, I can remember when you were just kind of coming out and beginning to play music again. And we gave her one of, I think, her first public, and she since has become like this extraordinary, one of our absolute favorite musical artists and presenters. So it's great to have Tatiana with us. And Dr. Marty K, who also is one of our absolute favorites. So impressed with the work she does with the Ungun Institute. And Always appreciate having you with us, Dr. Marty. But we also have a new friend who you're going to meet, and that's Alexander Laszlo. And Omar Shar, everybody, is in Peru. He will be back on Wednesday night for our Thanksgiving show, but he sent a really fun video to play. Piper Dellums is celebrating her birthday tonight, but she's going to come in and join us a little bit later. And we're also going to meet an amazing woman who I did a pre-record with, who's in Africa, a woman named Rutendo. So it's a wonderful group of people. And of course, we're going to spend a lot of time with each of these.
I want to make a special request.
Yes.
Since one of our new members of the Evolutionary Leaders Circle is the house musician for the awakening world, I would like us to go to Gallery View and give a shout out right now to Omar Shar.
Oh, absolutely. So big shout out to Omar Shar, who has been sending me photos of his time in Peru. He's in the Sacred Valley of Peru. It's one of his favorite places, doing ceremony. By the way, because people have asked, there's no sacred medicine, that it's not an ayahuasca form of ceremony. It's just meditation and music and meditation, and he's having a wonderful time. So big love to Omar Shar. Thank you for that suggestion. That was a great suggestion, Reverend.
There's Gallery. Now everybody can do it.
Absolutely.
I know Omar Shar is so loved here, and with good reason.
And he will probably watch this. Even when he's traveling, he tends to watch the replays and the recordings. So that was a wonderful suggestion.
He always has just the right music to play for the moment. And Dr. Marty and I were in Japan with him in September, and so we got to be with him in person, and that was really special.
You know, on Wednesday night, last Wednesday, we had Pato and Antoinette on the show, and they played a video that Marty, you're in it, and Debbie, it's in it. It's the video of he's playing flute, and Antoinette's. It's the Divine Mother song. It's the Divine Mother song that everybody sang.
Right.
And it was great. It was great. So we got a little
to watch it tonight because I haven't seen it.
You know, I actually have it right here. It's a pretty dynamic way to start the show. I mean, this might be one of those really spontaneous things. If I can find it, it'll take me a moment.
He was just saying. Scott was just saying to us as we were doing the sound check, usually I have Omar Shar to do the opening music. So you may have Pato and Antoinette to do the opening music.
You know, here it is, Divine Mother's Love. Okay, let's do this one. All right, here we go. For my audience, I know you guys saw this on Wednesday night, but it is so dynamic. Spontaneously, here we go. We're going to start with this. Okay.
All right, now, what we're doing, we are introducing Divine Mother's Love to the world globally. You guys are about to witness for the first time Divine Mother's Love, and I would like to introduce to you guys two of the other co-founders with Divine Mother's Love, Pookie and Bedalia. And I would also like to introduce Joan, mother of Ben, and Nina, also embodying the Divine Mother essence, and Summer Joy, who is our joyous ambassador, global reach outreach for Divine Mother's Love. Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Are you ready?
As women, we are taking our rightful place, bringing love into action to birth a world where violence and war no longer exist. In responsibility to our human evolution and devotion to the generations ahead of us and behind us, we establish sovereign peace beginning now.
We are standing in the power of divine mother's love.
Come on down.
We are standing in the power of divine mother's love. We are standing in the power of divine mother's love. We are standing in the power of divine mother's love. Stand up strong each and every day. Use your voice, speak in a better way. How long must we live this way? For a better day.
Women everywhere envision a flourishing planet where love's beauty, peace, and harmony abound. We cherish and treasure our Mother Earth in all her majesty. We cherish and treasure humanity and the truth of our divinity. Ancient and sovereign, imperishable and everlasting.
We are standing in the power of divine mother's love. We are standing in the power of divine mother's love. We are standing in the power of divine mother's love.
Come on and dance for us
We
there.
are standing in the power of divine mother's love. Stand up strong each and every day. Use your voice, speak in a better way. How long must we live this way? For a brighter day.
Divine Mother's love, in all its magnificence, is compelling women to lead now. Our voices and actions burst forth in an ocean of great compassion, such that nothing can resist this unfettered and infinite love. We are here to guide. We are birthing the creation of our new civilization. Love in action, everywhere, all at once.
We are standing in the power of divine mother's love. We are standing in the power of divine mother's love. We are standing in the power of divine mother's love. We are standing in the power of divine mother's love. Stand up strong each and every day. Use your voice, speak in a better way. How long must we live this way? For a better day.
Woo! Wow! I told you these are my sisters! Woo! My. Wow, give it up for them again, everybody. Wow. Go ahead, take a bow. Did y'all take a bow? Did you take a bow? Take a bow. Yeah. Kristen, Summer Joy, Antoinette, Mom Joan, Nina, Danalia, and Pookie. Woo!
Women rising.
Was that not amazing or what? It took everything in me from not coming out on stage.
I had to restrain her.
She did.
Well, there's no restraining you tonight, Dr. Marty.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for sharing. That's my first time seeing it. Wow.
Oh, how amazing. As you can see, Marty and I were co-hosting that concert, and that brought us right back there with all of our beautiful friends who were with us in Hiroshima, Japan for the International Day of Peace. And let's just take a moment together and feel that Divine Mother's love. Just breathe it in. Breathe it in. These times may look chaotic to our human selves, but we know that we are supported by the Divine Mother's love. We are not alone. We have one another, and we have her, and we have our precious Mother Earth. And all of that feminine energy is rising up right now in every one of us, man and woman, and especially the kids who are coming in, right? Thank you. Thank you. That was really beautiful.
Thank you.
Whew.
Oh, yeah. Well, people are still coming in, and I think I saw Piper Dellums come in.
Yes, she came in.
All right. So, well, the agenda may be adjusting a little bit because I'm going to put the spotlight on Piper. Not only is she one of our featured guests tonight, it is her birthday. So we're going to celebrate a few birthdays tonight. So if anybody else has got a birthday happening around this time, pop that in the chat box so that I know. But this is a perfect, first of all, Piper, we love you so much. And I know
I love you so much too, Scott. I love you.
And thank you for being willing to share some of your birthday with your Global Peace Tribe family.
Absolutely. I actually have a really special guest. I'm sorry we look like this. My daughter surprised me. She drove all the way down from up from LA, and she took me out for a couples massage at this acupuncture place, which was amazing. Then we went and got matching mani-pedis, and we decided to make Thanksgiving dinner early. So we've been cooking for 7 hours. And I went, oh my gosh, I have to go and see the Global Peace Tribe. It's so lovely to see each and every one of you. And I know that we're coming together in what appears to be a chaotic time in the world. And yet we are feeling this high vibration of the truth of this unveiling of our one consciousness. We're actually in probably one of the most powerful times in our universal ascension, our evolutionary ascension. And though we do recognize the pain and suffering that is occurring, the recognition and the unveiling of what's happening in the world politically and otherwise, we know that we came to the world for such a time as this, that we are going to be the ones to raise this to a higher frequency. We're going to recognize one another. We're going to see one another. We're going to present love in all of its forms, because we know that's why we're here, to be the mirror and the imprint of love in the earth, because that is the only source that's going to get us through. Forgiveness, Ubuntu, love, compassion, hope, divinity, one another, laughter. And it's really awesome to spend my 59th birthday with all of you. So it's the last year of my 50s. And I know that 50 is the reunion, the revelation, the coming back together, the penta. So this is really exciting, and I'm so happy to spend a moment of it with you all. And I see Marty and Deborah and Sylvia and Dia Therese and George. Everyone's there. It's so awesome. So this is my daughter, Sydney. I think I've bragged about her a gazillion times. This was the one that did that summer program at Harvard, and then Brandeis, and then Europe, and had her birthright in Israel, then went to law school, then became a chef, just started her own business. She's just, she is the blessing of my seed, and she is my reason and my purpose and my flame. So this is my eldest daughter, Sydney.
Wow.
And it's lovely to be here with you all. God bless you.
Well, Piper, what we'll do, since I know that you've got a whole birthday happening, is I'm going to shift the agenda and go ahead and have Rev Deb kind of introduce you a little bit right now, and then ask for you to share what, for our audience, what being an evolutionary leader means to you now, and anything you want to share about leading the evolution. And I'll turn it over to Reverend Deborah Moldow for her part of the introduction.
I was so excited to meet Piper the other day and really hear who she is. And you could all hear how the spoken word just flows forth from the creativity of her heart in such an exceptional way that we're all lifted up and inspired by it. And, I see from her bio that she has this really distinguished background, the daughter of the congressman and mayor of Oakland. And she was a corporate CEO. How does somebody come by those talents that merge together in her in such a unique way? And also she's a therapist specializing in issues of race and culture and grief and addiction and PTSD and domestic violence and abuse and trauma and all of that in one magnificent soul. So, Piper, it was truly an honor to welcome you into the Evolutionary Leaders Circle. And I want to give a shout out to the woman who nominated you, because everybody in this room knows her, and that is the divine Kristen Hoffman. Yes, and when she told us that you were special, we knew it had to be true. So we would love to hear a few words from you tonight. It's wonderful to meet your daughter, hi Sydney, and have her with us on this very special day when the planet was gifted with you.
I'm just bringing Kristen's energy in since you mentioned it. There is our beloved Kristen Hoffman. She was with us. She came in and co-hosted Wednesday night with me.
And that picture, that's a picture from Japan.
Exactly. That's
exactly the prayer field from Mount Fuji.
Exactly.
Yeah, amazing.
That is beautiful. Well, as I said earlier when I met with you, Deborah, our fire alarm is going off.
Must be the birthday cake.
That means the turkey's ready.
No, it's the candles. We know it's the candles.
Oh, yeah, it's the candles. I'm really grateful to Scott and Kristen and all of the beloved Peace Tribe who brought me to your attention, Deborah. And I thank you so much. It's such an honor, such a sweet embrace. And I have to say, it was an embrace at a time where I really needed to be embraced in all aspects of my being. So thank you. Thank you for that hello, and thank you for seeing me. There is a real reality in my life, and I think probably in the lives of so many of us, where we are now awakening to what it feels like to go from being unseen to being unstoppable. And I understand, as a woman, as an African-American woman, as a daughter, as a mother, the pain in the world of feeling unseen and knowing that we had to step through a million doors. We had to get the best educations. We had to get the PhDs and the straight A's and the highest degrees and start businesses and companies and travel the world just to make an imprint, and still and yet to be unseen, to be forgotten, to be the last chosen, for doors to slam in our faces. And yet we also have now this new awareness and understanding that it wasn't human doors that were supposed to open. It was sacred ascended spiritual doors that were always opening for us to be the awakening energy to the world, to show the world as the divine, feminine, ancient wisdom grandmothers that we are, with our open arms and our open wombs and our beating hearts and our tears and our smiles, our poetry, our laughter, our spirituality, our culture, in every aspect of our depth, that our being seen has more to do with being felt. And I'm so grateful that we are now in a time where we can feel the high frequency vibration of the antiquity of who we are, our beingness. That light can never go out. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful to be the lighthouse in a nation, to be the lighthouse for a world from 10 generations forward to 10 generations back. And I'm so grateful to to know and understand that my greatest gift is to give love, make love, be love, accept love, and birth love. And I've done all of those things here in the earth. And I'm hoping that my love is flowing from my soul and spirit and eyes and hands and arms, an ancient, ancient, ancient wonder in all aspects of awe to each and every one of you, because somehow we found each other during some course of our journey, maybe in another lifetime. And we said, yes, let's show up for such a time as this, because we are going to be the poetry and the rhythm and the hues and the antiquated medicine and the prayer and the beauty of the world. And so here we are. We found each other again. Hello, brothers and sisters, mothers and grandmothers, grandfathers and sons. We have found each other again, and we have work to do. And it's going to be glorious, beautiful work. So God bless you, and thank you for saying yes to me in all ways. And I love you all so much. Thank you so much.
Oh, and Piper, you are leading the way in so many ways. And I love some of the comments in the chat too. Susan Bloomquist says, unseen to unstoppable. And that is you. And I know you've been through a lot this year. And the Global Peace Tribe has been with you all the way to support you and love you through it. And you have come out radiant into your birthday celebration. So, Scott, are we going to celebrate her birthday?
We are. And in a moment, we're going to sing. But, you know, one of the things I love to do on a birthday is love for you, Piper, to share your vision for this next cycle around the sun. And all of your Global Peace Tribe family, we're going to hold that vision for you. So I'm going to put the full soul spotlight on Piper. And Piper, what is your vision for this new cycle around the sun?
My vision is also an intention. And personally, my vision and intention, and I already know it's been answered. I don't even need the medical professionals to tell me, because I feel it in every cell of my body, is to be healed, to be tumor-free, to see my children actualized in every aspect of joy and peace and happiness and love. But most importantly, I think it's about the village, the community, the commune, and the oneness. My vision is that we will be able to rise above the distractions, the noise, and what appears to be the ugly, and step into the truth of who we actually are. My hope and vision is that when God speaks to me like he spoke to Adam and says, Adam, where are you? And God says to me, Piper, where are you? My awareness that he knows my demographic means not anything, but I know that God is speaking. Piper, where is that which I created? Where is the authentic you that has no race, no gender, no religion, no attachments, no job, no past, no age? Where is that which I created? The higher connection to all things, that which is the perfect image and mirror of me. And I want to be able to remove all of the dead things, the fig leaves that I have used to cover up my nakedness and my authenticity, you know, to say, you know, I'm standing before you, God, not in embarrassment of nakedness, but in the full value of who I am. And my intention is to stand naked before God in all of God's names, faces, and wonder, and be in love with that self, knowing that it's connected to all of the rest of the wonder and beauty of the world. Whether it's the two-legged or the four-legged or the winged ones or the finned ones, whether it's the rock mountains or the wood mountains, the wood people, the creepy crawlers, the very breath of life, which is me and which is you. And I want to awaken to that place. So that is my intention when I hear be still and know that I am God, that I know that in the stillness in between every thought and every breath of me. And I'm going to live that out with each and every one of you.
Beautiful. So as we hold that vision for you, our beloved Tatiana.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Piper, my sister. I love you. Happy birthday to you. What a blessing you are. I am so blessed to know you and to have been touched in my life by your courageous, loving heart with so much devotion and joy and strength. And I'm honored to be getting more connected with you and to hold and bear witness to that glorious intention setting. Like, oh my goodness, that was just, I was imagining you just like singing that from the mountaintop, and just, I was like, hallelujah was like the word that just kept coming to my mind. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Tatiana, for coming on in. Piper, we love you so much. I know you've got a turkey and a party and all that stuff. So you can, of course, stay, but if you need to go, we understand. And we love you very much. And we know you'll be back on the show again soon.
I love you too, Scott. I love you so. I love you, Reverend Deborah. It's so lovely to love you. And Tatiana, you just saw deep down in my soul and my seat. Oh my God, I want to kiss Marty. I just want to jump through the
Thanks,
screen.
everyone. Sorry, I had to go try to
You
cook.
know, I've been waiting to jump on here to say how much I love you, and I cannot wait, sis, for us to do all the things that we promised each other we would do.
We will.
And happy birthday, sweetheart.
Thank you, my love. Thank you.
I'm
God bless you all. I love you. I love you.
What a glorious community we get to be a part of. I mean, we are so blessed. We really are. You know, I often, 20 years ago, everybody was looking for their soulmate. And now most everybody's looking for their community.
Yes.
And this is an amazing merging of communities, that the Unity Earth community, the Evolutionary Leaders community, the Global Peace Tribe community, and many others, and the way that we're all weaving together as one rainbow family is very,
you know, Ayata has put a number of those groups in the chat. And for everybody who's here in the Zoom room, just take a look at the chat to see how much love is pouring through this community.
Mm-hmm. I love what you said, Scott, that there was years ago we were looking for our soulmate, and now we're looking for our community. Like that needs to be on a t-shirt or something. Billboard. I mean, that's it right there.
I know you're going to work it into your show, Marty. I know you.
I'm gonna have to try that. Yeah,
absolutely. Take it and run with it.
Oh, wow.
Well, while we've got Tatiana up, I'm going to turn it over to you, Reverend Deborah.
That's what I was thinking, you know, because I think everybody in this room thinks they know Tatiana because she's appeared on this program so often. But there's a few extra things that maybe they do know and maybe they don't know. First of all, I met you, Tatiana. I don't know if you remember where I met you, but it was with the Visioneers. So when I came into the Visioneers, you were on the program and you were part of the welcome, and we corresponded a little bit. And you were helping them out and all of that. And at that time, of course, I had no idea who you were. Mm-hmm. And now that I know, you know, the basics, like you're a Canadian singer-songwriter, you're an amazing filmmaker, and you've been filming your journey, and that's been beautiful. But you've also been doing videos for us in different configurations for the One Planet Peace Forum, but you're also a somatic healer and what you call a boots on the ground mystic. I love that. You teach vocal alchemy for women. You're a co-founder of Ignite Productions, so you're doing media. You're an amazing human being, and you are a founder of our newest synergy circle of the evolutionary leaders, which is called the New Generation for the Awakening World. And Scott, hats off to you, because you are the one who has really put together the founding group of this new expression, because a lot of us evolutionary leaders were getting along in years, and the new generation, they didn't want to be called the next generation. They wanted to be called new, and they wanted it to be for the awakening world. So this is so beautiful, and you did such a beautiful job putting together voices from around the world in their first video, which was for the Ignite for Peace campaign around the International Day of Peace in September. So you are just so multi-talented. You're an extraordinary human being, even as a young person. And your voice touches us all deep in our hearts, Tatiana. And I honor you and I welcome you.
Oh, that was so beautiful. Thank you, Deborah. I really have cherished getting to know you and getting to work with you and collaborate with you. And you're just a force and a light and a mentor to me now. And I feel so blessed. And thank you for naming all the things I'm trying to do.
I think you're a Renaissance woman.
I'm actually like, whoa, it's like I'm feeling a little spread thin, and I'm like, I need to focus one place, but I can't, because I love every single thing you named. And yes, I am making films, and I am also starting, I have a women's circle that I'm just starting up again, actually, on December 1st. And yeah, there's lots of things going on for sure, but it's been such an honor to be weaving and collaborating with all of you. That's really what excites me the most, is the weaving and the co-creating and the collaboration and all the beauty that's, like, so many of the songs I've even written have been inspired by the people in these networks. And so, yeah, truly a joy.
And as busy as she is, she's been at every meeting of the new leaders for the Synergy group. And she's really been like probably the most significant core leader of that group. She's really emerged as core central person. So
yes, and that was evident in her invitation to create the video for the whole group. She said, everybody, just send me your videos. I'll weave it together. And she did such a magnificent job. Yeah. And then she redid it for the women's circle at the G20. I mean, you're amazing. We love you.
Aww.
But I want to hear her sing. We're going to hear her sing.
All right. I'm going to remove you and I and see what she has to offer.
Yeah, I'm feeling it out right now, because I've got like 3 different songs that are here present in this room right now. So I'm just going to tune in. Okay, we're going to start with this one. So I think that if I was to summarize what I'm doing, like the overarching theme of what my heart is here to give is a return to love and guiding people back into the heart, back into our connection to each other, to ourselves, back into sacred remembrance of who we are and why we're here. And so this song is called Let Love Carry Us Home. And it's a song about forgiveness of ourselves, forgiveness of each other, and really just an invitation into that plea, that prayer that I think so many of us have in our heart, that we can come down from the mind, come deep into our heart, and remember why we're here. So here we go. I turn towards myself with a rose of forgiveness and a lily of mercy and gentleness. I turn towards my heart as the altar of redemption. Please remind me how to love. Remind me why I came. All these years, all of the ages, struggling so hard to find my way. All these years, all of the ages, and all of this time, I've been held in love's embrace. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya. Let love carry me home. Let love carry me home. Let love carry me. Let love carry me home. Let love carry me home. I turn towards you with a rose of forgiveness and a lily of mercy and understanding. I turn towards your heart as the altar of our love. I'm so sorry for missing you so completely. All these years, all of the ages, struggling, fighting, and forgetting. All these years, all of the ages, and all of this time, we've been held in love's embrace. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya. Let love carry us home. Let love carry us home. Let love carry us. Let love carry us home. Let love carry us home. Let love carry us home. Let love carry us. Let love carry us home. Oh, I feel it now. I feel love surrounding each and every one of us now. Hearts opening, hands extending, love carrying each of us home, softening into the heart, into the divine presence of love that's shining from each and every one of us. We are so much more than we ever knew. I see it so clearly, I see you. We are so much more than we ever knew. I open my heart to the truth. We are so much more than we ever knew. I see it so clearly, I see you. We are so much more than we ever knew. I open my heart to the truth. Let love carry us home. Let love carry us home. Let love carry us. Let love carry us home.
Oh, I love that song. Several of the people in the comments talked about how they just love this song and they love you. Carol Craig writes, this song always makes me cry as I embrace the depth of love deep in my soul.
Aww.
Yeah.
And Dr. Laura said it's like a warm embrace. And it was so beautiful to see the members of the Peace Tribe who are here with us tonight just being transported by that.
And I felt like I was singing with Marty. We were singing together.
Oh, definitely you were. Definitely you were.
I was like, yes, we are singing.
I cannot wait to meet you in person and we sing together because I was over here harmonizing with you.
I can't wait to receive a hug from you. I have this feeling you have the warmest hugs. I don't know, that's just my sense, but I feel like you must have a legendary hug.
People say that, and you know what? I just put in the chat, thank you for that musical hug.
No
Because
way.
that's what it felt like. It felt like you were hugging us.
I
Thank
was.
See, you both got it. You both got it. That's what a hug is.
Well, we
Beautiful.
are blessed that we're going to have more Tatiana, a couple more moments with her, and we're going to have a whole segment with Marty. But there is a brand new evolutionary leader. He is our sacrificial virgin tonight, meaning it's the first time he's been on the Awakening World. This is his debut. And to introduce Alexander Laszlo, I turn it back over to Rev Deb.
Oh, and it is my pleasure to introduce Alexander to all of you. Alexander is such a unique person. First of all, he's coming to us live from Buenos Aires, Argentina, where it is going on midnight. But as someone remarked earlier, they eat dinner very late in Argentina, so maybe that's not so bad. But thank you. Thank you for joining us, even though it's so late. His background is so varied, it's almost impossible to encapsulate. So he's president of the board of a place called the Bertalanffy Center for the Study of Systems Science, which I'm not even sure I know what that means. He's the director of research at the Laszlo Institute of New Paradigm Research, which I believe was founded by his father, evolutionary leader Ervin Laszlo. And he's on the doctoral faculty in sustainability leadership at Fielding Graduate University. He's worked for UNESCO. He's worked for the Italian Electric Power Agency. He's worked for the US Department of Public Education. He's the author of more than 100 journals, books, and encyclopedia publication. And get this, he's a 6th degree black belt in Taekwondo. So I don't even know where to begin with you, Alexander. We are so excited to have you join the Evolutionary Leaders Circle. We have worked with you on projects many times before, and it's always been a joy to experience your creativity and how that moves through you. So let us know a little about what's on your heart.
What a delight to be here with you tonight. This morning, wherever you are, soon going to be in 10 minutes is going to be morning for me. But yeah, you're right, Deborah. I have to call in the clones. They're just, we're all over and doing all these different things. But just delightful to be here. Thank you so much. And there's what we're creating together is a field. Right? I mean, you can all feel this. There's a resonance, and this is something that's coming out of the sciences now. The sciences of complexity. We're looking at from quantum physics, which looks at the really small things, and they find that everything is entangled, right? So now that's become a catchword, and we're trying to say, wow, that means that things that happen over here are connected to things that happen over there. That's at the quantum level, and since we are definitely not a direct extrapolation of the quantum world, but we're connected, and they look at the very large stuff that's happening in the universe as well, at the level of the supergalactic clusters, right? And you see patterns there as well, not random. You don't see randomness. You see patterns. You see coherence. And so it's starting to be in this framework from the sciences of complexity that we are recognizing that there is a larger story of coherence. There's this really fancy word called the holotropic principle, right? Now, what's that? a tropism is something where you lean towards something, like, the sunflowers that always turn and follow the sun, right? They're heliotropic. They follow the sun, right? Holotropic is following wholeness. And it seems that from the sciences of complexity, the study of the very small to the very large, things are following more wholeness and connectedness than they are what we used to think about chaos and randomness, and that things tend towards entropy, things tend to fall apart. Actually, if that were the case, we wouldn't see this kind of planet full of green things and all kind of colored things and things that are vibrant and thriving on this, which was started out as a rock, this planet, right? Pretty hot rock, but okay. And now we see all this abundance of life, right? So it's moving towards, there is this holotropism where we move towards greater coherence, greater integration. Yeah, entanglement. I don't like that word though, because it's like entanglement is what happens to my beard in the morning. And, then I got to take the comb, I got to untangle it, because it's like, no, I don't like entanglement. But Theodore Holmes Nelson came up with this really nice word in 1973. He called it intertwinglement. Isn't that a nice word? Intertwinglement. And I think we're all intertwingled because it has magic in it and play in it. And there's like, you can imagine the fairies around as well with the intertwinglement. And when we recognize that this is the story of the universe, that from the micro entanglement to the macro patterning, the in-between place where we are in the meso or mundo world, now we got to start acting like we are interdependent. This interbeing, as Thich Nhat Hanh would talk about, that we can actually recognize our essential interdependence. It's a fact of our being. There is no actual separation. That's an illusion. We are actually intertwingled all the time. Bayo Komolafe talks about it even further. He talks about how we are an intra-being more than an interbeing. Like an interbeing would mean that we have to come together and we recognize how when we're together, we're stronger and we can be. But what Akomolafe talks about is our ground state is connected. Our ground state is that of oneness. And again, the sciences are showing this, the science of complex system science, the stuff that I work on. And now in spirituality, it's not even now. This in spirituality, we've known this forever, right? The notion of oneness is core as a lemma, a tenet of most spiritual traditions, right? That it's not, we don't live in a dualistic world. We don't live in a world, sure, we can separate it into all these different parts. And that helps us distinguish foreground from background. It's one picture though. It's one emergence at the same time. And this, I think, for me, is what is really fascinating about leading the evolution as the theme for tonight, and the evolutionary leader circles and what we're doing and exploring in these ways. By the way, my holding is that we're all evolutionary leaders. Everybody, whether we're in the circle, out of the circle, above the circle, below the, doesn't matter. We're all evolutionary leaders once we start listening to, right, the bigger patterning that we're a part of. I like to think of it as listening to Gaia talk, listening to the way the earth talks, Pachamama, listening. Gaia talk is a kind of a speech. It's a kind of a way of communicating, Gaia talk. And the thing is that us human beings, particularly Western world, and particularly, older white men with beards, all right, we've tended to be not so much good listeners and pretty much bent on trying to say how things are and how they should be. And I think it's a time now to learn Gaia talk. And the interesting thing about Gaia talk is that it consists 99% of listening. We have to move from these keynote speakers to being keynote listeners. And so this is a beautiful thing. What we're doing here, we have music, we have pauses, we listen to each other, we listen with each other. it's much more than just the human voices that we're listening to, right? This is Gaia talk, means listening to the language that is beyond words, listening to these patternings that we can sense and feel. Piper was alluding to this beautifully as well. And this kind of listening, right, helps us human well. Because a lot of the times, and this is what I'm interested in right now, is what does it mean to human well, taking that as a verb, right? Because I don't think we're doing a very good job generally. And I generally, right, there are many people here, like, it's pretty cool. Most of the people here are doing excellent jobs. I'm so inspired. But to human well means to learn and remember how we are part of the great hoops of life, and to relearn how to dance this. Tatiana was saying or singing, right? Let love carry us home. There's the learning for me. And I think it's not so much of saying, okay, let me give a little anecdote here. I took a workshop once with this amazing woman, Sobonfu Some, of the Dagara people of West Africa. Her, in the beginning of her workshop, she went around and said, why are you here? She said in kind of accusatory, I'm like, I paid but she really wanted to know, why are you here? I said, look, I want to learn how to dance, is what I said. I want to learn how to dance the dance of the universe. I had to say that because her eyebrow went up when I said I want to, because it wasn't a dance workshop. And she said, okay, what does that mean? Well, I don't know. I see nature all the time dancing beautifully. The birds, like if you see starlings that in the evening, then they flock together. It's called a murmuration of starlings. And it looks like one being in the sky. And they go so fast and so close to each other, and they don't run into each other, right? And no bird is saying, hey, put on your blinker. Or another one saying, I'm going to turn left here. You know what? They're just flowing with each other. They listen and they sense. I know we can, it's not just I think, we can do that too. We can do that too if we listen well. And I want to learn how to dance that dance. By the end of the workshop, okay, which was awesome, by the end of the workshop, Sobonfu Some went around again and said, so why are you here? And I said, I changed my, she didn't only ask me, by the way, other people were responding too, just so you know. But when I responded, I said, it's no longer that I want to learn how to dance, this dance of the universe. I want to learn how to be danced by the universe. It's a small difference, but it makes all the difference. Because if you're trying to dance, if you're like, okay, wait, do I got the steps right? Am I doing this? Okay, wait, I'm going to try. I'm going to keep trying. You're never really flowing. But if you allow yourself to be danced by what is emerging, and you trust in this holotropic universe, not the world that we create with all of the, I don't want to even get into politics because, no. But if we trust this bigger flow, it's a bigger flows, right? That have created this entire planet and the solar system and all of that. It's not just Gaia, right? Those flows are ones that hold us. And when we can get in tune with that, then love will carry us home. Then we are being danced by the universe. And here's the other thing about this. And I'm keeping my eye on the time here, so I'm okay. The other thing about this is that we don't have to do this alone. In fact, we can't do this alone. And Reverend Deb said about Tatiana, it's like a real Renaissance woman. And exactly, I think there's so many of us here who fit that. But this second Renaissance is not just a Renaissance of the mind like the first Renaissance was. A Renaissance in thinking, in rational thoughts. This is a Renaissance that has that component, but it is also a Renaissance of the heart. It's a Renaissance of spirit in addition to this Homo sapiens sapiens stuff with the mind. It's about sensing the world. And we can't sense this alone. We can't weave it alone. Don't weave it alone. We do it together. This is the key thing. And this is why this global peace tribe, I mean, talked about community, it's tribe. It's the sense of intra-being, right? And for me, this aspect is really, I know there's another show coming up soon, Scott, I'm giving a little bit of a plug here, that's going to be about Ubuntu, because this is a different way of being. It's a way that understands this as a credo, as an ethic of being always part of a larger narrative. And it's remembering this dance, because we know how to do this. But with our mad dash to a technified nirvana, we are just so bent on our technologies that we become zombified, right? We become tech dependent, not tech enabled many times. So being able to listen to nature, listen to your heart, listen to each other. There's an article which I hope that we can share with you a little later about how to ensoul the cosmos, but it's about that listening so that we remember and then we restore or restory. We restory our place in the world. And this restoring is something that we don't have to make up the story. You just have to listen better. The last thing I think I want to say about this, and then I'm just about at the end of my time anyway, about not having to do this alone, is that these are times that sometimes have been characterized as VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. Others talk about it as RUPT, rapid, unpredictable, paradoxical, and tangled. And then there are all these terms to try to describe how, hey, this time is so confusing. I can't even decide what I'm doing next week, let alone in 5 years from now. Whereas in times past, I would know that my kids are going to become a lawyer and a doctor and a priest or whatever, right? You can't tell that now. What are kids going to become? It's just rapid change. So the only way to make sense of this world is together. No one of us is as smart as all of us. And that smartness isn't this up here only. It's this, being able to sense into it. I believe that the next step in human evolution is collective sentience, where we sense together. Like those birds flocking together, where we learn that dance, where we can be danced together and love can carry us home. So the last thing on this, as I check my timer here, yes, perfect, is I have recently been going back and forth between the poles of hope and fear. Some mornings I'd wake up and I'd be like, oh my God, the news, it's just like, is there any, oh my God, there's no hope. I'm so scared. And other days, I would be finding myself in this kind of environment here, and I'd be like, whoa, it's great. There's hope. There are people out there who are making a different story and who are making a difference. This is my tribe. But it kept like going back and forth between these polar extremes, and I didn't like it. It was difficult. So I'm finding a path now that I can find or create sometimes communities, these kind of tribes, where I feel safe to be courageous. Safe to be courageous. Where I know if I say something weird, nobody's going to say, forget it, you're out of here. They're going to be like, oh, how cute, we love you. That was kind of weird, but okay. So there's an embrace. And this, where we can create these systemic nurturance spaces where it's safe to be courageous, safe to be brave. This is about leading the evolution. That's what it's about for me. Scott, back to you. And Deborah, I don't know who's handling this here. You're co-hosting it. Back to you.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much, Alexander, for that window into your spirit. I'm just, I want to quote Reverend Jeffrey in the chat saying, just enjoying the deep flow of science emerging from the depth of Alexander's heart. And you express these profound concepts with so much warmth and humor. And as somebody said, like, where have you been? We've been missing you, but we didn't even know it. So if we, the evolutionary leaders community, can help bring forth who you are in more into this world, and certainly by introducing you to the Global Peace Tribe here, then that is our privilege. And we are delighted to welcome you.
The privilege and the honor is mine, but I'm happy to share.
Thank you.
You know, Alexander, your father has been on this show. Irvin has been on the show a couple of times. So I just wanted to mention that. And I'm going to read, there are dozens of comments that have come in, and I'm only going to read a few. Connie and Andrew write, my goodness, Alexander, what a blessing you are. Your vibration and frequency lifts us all. Marty K writes, you are brilliant. Of course, lots of people saying thank you. I want to acknowledge what you brought up about the fear and the hope, and that touched many people. Carol Craig writes, me too, hope, fear, flight. I'm finally settling in with the communities that support my reality and leaving the others to their own. I'm feeling better and more clear now. And Dr. Laura also writes, Alexander, I can relate to the ping-ponging between hope and desperation. Reverend Jeffrey writes, enjoying the deep flow of science emerging from the depth of Alexander's heart.
That's the one I quoted.
That's right. And, you also
and I love that
Roger.
Connie and Andrew are also seeing that as the balance, you as a balance of the masculine and feminine energy. That and another thing that I really appreciated was your focus on wholeness and oneness. That is our inherent state that we have become so distracted from that we don't see it anymore. And this has been a big theme this year in the community of evolutionary leaders, where Dr. Jude Currivan and others have put forth this unitive narrative that if we can begin to see ourselves and our world through that lens of oneness and wholeness, as Bob Atkinson would say in his recent book about it, that change, that shift in perspective will change everything about the way we live on and with this beautiful planet. So thank you for the depth of your thinking and the caring behind it.
Well, thank you, everyone. And I think there's this beautiful expression, we are the ones. I think it's us. And it's us. I wouldn't be able to say really any of this. It wouldn't matter if I said, we are, you bring this out, you listen to this group, this community, this field. And I love that expression, we are the ones that we've been waiting for.
Yeah.
But we're not waiting anymore.
Right.
We're here.
Roger in the chat, he says, we're in entwinglement.
Yes, intertwinglement was a big hit. A lot of people commented on intertwinglement. And also Gaia Talk was a big hit.
Yes.
So, so many wonderful things. I want to let people know how you can get more of Alexander. And I'm going to point to a couple of places. Let's start with his website, which is his name, Alexander Laszlo, spelled LASZLO.net. I had to look at it over and over and over because I was so afraid I was going to get the S and the Z mixed up on the poster. But it's LASZLO.net, AlexanderLaszlo.net, and that's where you can learn all about him, and you can accept his cookies. Clearly you're a wordsmith, and the way you work with different words, even tonight, Gaia Talk, intertwinglement, syntony. Thank you so much you are the new Mr. Rogers. Remember Mr. Rogers would teach us new words? You are the Mr. Rogers of the Evolutionary Leaders Circle.
Dr. Rogers, please.
I also want to point people to a really beautiful article that he wrote on Medium. You can find it on Medium. Practices that ensoul, spelled E-N-S-O-U-L, the cosmos, by Alexander Laszlo. And definitely...
And I have put that link in the chat for those who are in the Zoom room with us.
Great. And I'm now going to follow you, as I should. So yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Alexander, welcome to the Evolutionary Leaders Circle. Welcome to the Awakening World. Welcome to the Global Peace Tribe. And as Roger said, we've been missing you, and we're glad you're here.
I'm glad we're neighbors.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Rogers.
Beautiful.
Well, according to the agenda, this is when we segue into Rev Deb introducing Marty K.
Oh my goodness. I almost want to say someone who needs no introduction.
I almost said that myself.
She's definitely been here before. But what a special human being Marty K. Casey is in so many ways. As a global peace advocate, as a singer, as an actress, as a writer, as a producer, as a director. And I love that she says that she combines her passion for the arts with her compassion for her community. And that's where her work founding the Ungun Institute has come out of, disarming trauma to heal from, especially from community traumatic events, but also from personal traumatic events and family trauma. And her amazing one-woman show is all about the history of trauma in her own family, and it is so authentic and it's funny and it's touching, and she just does such a beautiful job. And we got to spend some time in person together, both in Spain and also with the Holo movement. And then recently in September in Japan with Unity Earth on this beautiful journey to the rising sun. That was part of the Unite for Peace campaign for the International Day of Peace. And you saw us, if you were here at the beginning of this program, you saw us as co-hosts of the broadcast from Hiroshima of the wonderful concert that included Pato and Antoinette, and it included Kristen Hoffman and Omar Shar and Pukili, many people from this global peace tribe, and plus we just had a really good time together, didn't we?
Yes. I don't even want to co-host with anyone else but you.
Yeah, we were definitely different halves of the whole. So it's a joy to welcome Marty K. Casey to the Evolutionary Leaders and back to the Awakening World.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Rev Deb, my earth angel. We never know who we need until we need them. And when they show up on time. I will get to that probably a little bit later in my talk.
You don't have to tell them.
No. You don't have to tell it. You do have to tell it, because you can't talk about living if you can't talk about all of the experiences of what pushes you forward to understand what life is all about. And sometimes we have very scary moments in our life that it wakes us up, and it just, and you happen to be there for a very, very serious moment in my life. And like I said, I'm going to swing back around to that. But if it's okay, I'm going to stay on gallery view. And the reason being, I'm a person that I have to feel the room. I really move by spirit. And when I see faces and ideas, I see hands going up or what have you. And I feel that. And I speak to that. Hi, Connie, I love you so much. It's, first of all, can I just say to all of the speakers, from Piper to Alexander to Tatiana, Rev Deb, Scott, all of you all whose voices have been in this space today, I really don't have to say anything. Everything has been said. If you are wondering what an evolutionary leader is, you have heard from them all tonight. You have seen them in action. You have witnessed what it's like to not just talk the talk, but walk the walk. These individuals have inspired me with their words tonight in such a way that it really, I feel like I have nothing to add. That's how I feel. And very rarely am I, lost for words. But I am just that moved tonight. Are we not moved by what has already been spoken and said? Scott, this is an amazing show. So I hope that I can just add just a little bit of something more to what has been talked about. One of the things I want to jump on real quick. I love that intertwingling. I just love that. I love words where you not only hear them, but you almost can see them and you feel it. I'm just intertwingling. It almost seems like a sparkle, like we're just kind of walking through and people don't even know it. And we tap them without them even knowing who tapped them, and we just connect to them. That's what that kind of felt like to me. And it's interesting because what I believe that I have been called to do, especially in spaces like this, meaning when I come outside of my own culture into other communities, and be it that it's in my own city or it's nationally or it's internationally, it doesn't matter. But I believe that I create what I call a color run. Have you ever put some clothes in the washing machine and you pulled it out and you like, oh, I probably shouldn't have mixed those two things together because look, the colors and ran together. But then it's something about how they have come together. It's in such a beautiful blend, so unexpected that it's like, I'm not throwing that blouse away. This is so cute. I think they're going to think it's tie-dye and I'm going to get some compliments. And that's kind of like what I believe I've been called to do in in the world right now, is create color runs. I come into these spaces and I believe that I mix my origin, my race, my color with those of beautiful blends, and together we create something that has never been seen before. I believe that. When I think about the rainbow, even the rainbow, it still has a little bit of a divide. Each color kind of stands on its own. They stand together, but they don't blend. Oh, I want to see a rainbow with a color run in it. Like that's what I believe we need right now. We need those colors to just kind of just dip into each other. And I want you to see that right now. Can you imagine the world if we was really showing up like a rainbow color run? Can we be that when we enter into spaces? Can you imagine that and actually do that with what you say, with what you believe in, with what you present, with what you give? Can we start thinking about that right now? That can you promise me, as I promise you, that we're not going to be in spaces that we cannot do a color run, a blending, an acceptance, an assurance, as Alexander mentioned, and I think Christy put it in the chat, that safety. See, because when we blend together, that means I'm coming into you and I'm allowing you to come into me. And together we will be. That's that dance, that to be dance. Oh, when I tell you I love that so much, like that needs to be on a t-shirt too. We got so many t-shirt lines going here tonight. Be danced. Like we should, like on every obituary moving forward, we forget the date of when they was born and when they died. Can we put stamp that they be danced? Because that's what life is all about. And until you can experience to be danced, maybe you fell a little short. Maybe we're falling a little short. And one thing I know about dancing, because I've been dancing for a long time. I used to watch, for those who are in America, Soul Train used to come on Saturday mornings. And when we clean up our house, we watch Soul Train. My dad would allow us to watch Soul Train as we would clean up the home. And I think he allowed that because he know that the dancing would give us that movement, and I get to dusting the table and spraying the glass, and my brother wiping it, and it's just dancing, right? But one thing I know about dancing, you have to hear the music. You cannot dance without hearing or feeling the pulse of the music. And I think that that's some of the issue that we have been having with one another. That we're dancing and stepping on each other's toes because we're not listening to the music and we're not feeling the pulse of each other. Because that's what dancing is rhythm. It's a feeling that you have that allows you to move because the movement comes from the feeling. A lot of us are moving and doing things without feeling it first. Oh, be dance is big for me. That I'm loving that. Because we can teach so many people right now with what's going on in their disagreements of how to really hear the music and not step on anyone's toes as you're moving, but moving in rhythm together. See, if I come forward, that means you must step back. And then when you come forward, that means I have to step back. And if we do this together, we're creating that safe space that we're talking about. We can dance together. We can be dance. We can create that color run and then be intertwingled. That's what life is all about. I think what we've been missing is some of this verbiage, Alexander. I think together we have created a new blueprint of teaching others of what's really, truly missing. So when I think about the question, Scott, that you proposed to us earlier, as to being an evolutionary leader, I think I'm an evolutionary follower first. Because if I'm dancing, I'm following somebody's lead. That's what dancing is. I'm following somebody. Even if I'm not leading in that moment, I must now follow. You can't be a leader and not know how to follow. And so where did I learn to follow? I had to find some really good mentors. And one of the mentors that I found coming into the global space, if you will, was Ben Bowler. And Ben has been on here several times as well. Ben Bowler is the founder of Unity Earth. And Ben is actually the one who suggested that I become an EL, an evolutionary leader. And I didn't know that that was something that Ben would have ever suggested for me. But what I do know is that I've been allowing Ben to mentor me. I've been following Ben's lead. One of the things that Ben does so well when we are on a Zoom room with sometimes hundreds of people, he listens. He sees them, he listens, and he knows, so that means he can affirm who they are. And I try to do that in spaces where I am speaking. I love the fact that I got an opportunity to somewhat speak here last because it allowed me to hear what was already spoken. And I don't feel like anything was left out. But one of the things that I do want to add is that you don't have to wait to be invited to be in the evolutionary leader circle to be a leader and to create an evolution and to be a part of something great. You actually can decide to do that right now. See, what I didn't know is one of the reasons Ben chose me is because I was already doing it before I was chosen. So I kind of want to turn the tables a little bit as I'm supposed to be talking to you. I almost want to ask you a question, if you can put it in the chat right now. In a very simple form, you one or two sentences at the most. But how are you leading the evolution right now? How are you opening up
the opportunity for someone to come and color blend with you and to be intertwingled, to dance with you. What are some of the things that you offer to community, to your family, or to the world? A lot of times we think so big that we forget to bring it back down to the people that really need it the most. Sometimes it's our own family, it's your children, it's your neighbor that you could start with. You don't have to think, oh, I need to go to the White House and talk to every congressperson and Senate in order to change the world. Sometimes the way you change the world is change yourself. Because it's one of the things I had to do. I had to start with me and then move into family, then move into community before I could then even think about accepting something as huge as being an evolutionary leader. Yeah, I had to see deep inside of self. I truly had to introduce myself to me all over again and find out what was some of the things that made Marty special. What are some of the things that maybe Marty needs to change? And what are some of the things that Marty needs to forgive herself for, because she cannot change it, but she can change how she feels about it. I literally had to do that. And when I did that, it really cleared me, free and clear of things that I was holding on to and I kept reacting to emotionally that was no longer seeking my attention. And when I was able to let those things go, that's when my creativity really started to flow. That's when I created Rev Deb. I created my one-woman show. When I was ready to just truly forgive myself so I could forgive my family, forgive community, forgive people. Sometimes people hurt you and they don't even realize they hurt you. It was never even intended, but it happened. So when I truly learned the art of forgiveness, oh, it freed me. And then I was able to be used, to say yes to those next levels. What is it for you? Because a yes, let me tell you, with a yes comes accountability, responsibility, sustainability, all kinds of abilities come with saying yes. Sometimes saying no is a lot easier than you realize. We say yes so quick, we just jump in 2 feet and then we realize, oh, I don't have on a life jacket and I can't swim in deep water anyway, right? So I want you to start just really stopping, breathe, and think. That's something that I created that you will see in almost every talk that I do. Every talk that I do, these were billboards. Those are billboards that I put up in my city after teaching this to children through a curriculum that I built for Ungun Institute of helping individuals disarm from trauma. But that's a simple peace response. Stop, breathe, think. Sometimes we have to just stop and say no, at least for a moment, because we're not ready for that yes. And then just keep breathing. You're breathing so you can get oxygen to your brain so that you can be thinking clearer about what's happening in you and around you. That breath is truly blowing away anything that's in the way of your thinking. Now, what do you need to do? You've allowed yourself time to respond and not just react from what you feel or what you think you know or who you think did something to you. Giving yourself time to not take a time out, but taking a time in, to go inside yourself. That's what I had to learn to do. And so when you think about those 3 simple words, stop, breathe, think. And if you're trying to remember when this call is over with, oh, what was those 3 words that Dr. Marty said? Stop, breathe, think. I want you to remember these 3 words because I know you remember this. What did they tell us to do if ever our bodies caught on fire? to stop, drop, and roll, right? We remember that. Why do we remember that? Because they just kept going over it everywhere. It became a national thing, and everybody just was taught that same thing at the same time. You seen it everywhere. You heard it everywhere. They repeated it over and over and over again. Well, this is what I want for Stop, Breathe, Think, because I tell you what's on fire. Sometimes it feels like the brain is on fire. And how do you put the fire out on the brain from the inside? The only way you can do that is through your breaths. Breathing through it. Breathing through it. So if there's anything that I can offer as a leader, I hope that I can lead others into knowing simple tools and techniques of what we can do to keep ourselves safe and everyone around us safe. I hope that through a leader, I can continue to create things that will allow us to have a different perspective beyond where we grew up or who we grew up around or what we believe in or who we know or how much money we have or what's our zip code and what's our race and our religion. I hope as a leader, I can create something that will allow you to see it in a different way. And even if you still hold on to your beliefs, you have at least allowed yourself to see the inside of me or maybe the inside of someone else. It's okay for us to be individual and to be who we are. I never said you had to turn your color into mine or I'm going to turn mine into yours, but I said, can we do a color run? Can we just bleed into each other and not bleed on each other? Because there's a difference. There's a difference. I love life so much. And I can't even begin to tell you how close I came to choosing the other side or staying here on earth. When we were in Japan in September, we had gone to Mount Fuji. We were at the May Peace Prevail on Earth Center. When you talk about the most peaceful, respectful, joyful place in the world, I can't even imagine anything that can compare to May Peace Prevail on Earth Center. And here we walking up, the side of the mountain here, and we reach a place where we're doing ceremony. It was beautiful. Oh my goodness, seeing all of us in that color run. And it was hot outside. And so I knew that I needed to kind of like just sit down and the sun was just beaming down on the top of my head. And I didn't realize how affected I was actually becoming. So then when we went back to the center and now I walk into the cool air, all of a sudden I started feeling a little ill. My head was getting light and yet my head started hurting a little bit. And I felt my stomach hurting and I don't know. I just felt like I needed to just kind of be in alignment with gravity. And if I could just lay down on the ground, I probably would feel better. And I closed my eyes and I wasn't feeling any better. And I was like, well, maybe I need to get up and go to the restroom and put some water on my face, do something. And as I got ready to stand up and walk to the restroom, people started to notice that I probably wasn't feeling well. And I'm like, I'm okay. I didn't want to make a scene. I'm like, I'm okay. I just want to go to the restroom. And then I felt like I was about to just completely pass out. So I sat down. And when I stood back up again, that's when I fainted. And it was people around me. So I didn't just plunge down on the ground. They actually gently laid me down. And now my eyes are closed and I literally could not open my eyes. Now I could hear everyone and I could hear everything, but it sounded like they were far, far away down the hall. Oh, they were so far away. It was starting to scare me. I wanted to verbally say something and I couldn't speak. See, when trauma hits, one of the things that happens to our bodies, especially in the first 72 hours, windows start to shut down. Things start to just completely closed to try to keep you alive. So sometimes when there's just too much, when there's actually you being overstimulated from somewhere, something in the body was shut down. When trauma hit me like that once before, I lost my hearing in my left ear, never to regain that. And had I known the information that I'm sharing with you now in those first 72 hours, I would have, and had I gone to the doctor, they probably would have been able to save my hearing. But because I missed that window, it didn't happen. So now I'm fully aware of how this works now. So when my eyes shut down, when my eyes closed and I couldn't open them, I knew not to force it. I'm feeling something in my spirit right now as I just speak about this. I knew not to force it, but to just stay calm, to stop and what? Breathe and think. Because through that stop breathing and thinking, it made me remember about what happened when trauma hit me before and I wasn't in control of it. I was able to just stay calm. I felt water packs going in the back of my neck on my feet, and I felt them drenching water on me. And they're like, Marty, Marty, open your eyes, say something, Marty, drink something. And I couldn't. I couldn't. And then that's when Deborah was by my side, and she said, "We need to call an ambulance." And everyone was like, "Well, she's breathing. She's gonna be okay." And Deborah said, "No, we don't know that. And time is crucial." I wanted to amen her so much because I would say, I have 72 hours, Deborah. If they don't get this right, I'm out of here. 72 hours is all I have. And she says, we can't take that chance. She cared enough about me in that moment to go above and beyond. And so when the ambulance came and they carried me out, I can feel all of this, you all. But again, these voices were so far down the hall. Now, the voice that was very, very, very close to me, it almost sounded like it was whispering in my ear. I heard the voice of the Lord, my creator. And I knew then I was between two worlds. And this is where a decision had to be made. That either I go ahead and go with God, or I go ahead and I fight to come back, or at least stay. But I was in a hallway. They say there's a stairway to heaven. I didn't see no stairs. God knows I don't do a lot of stairs. So he put me in the hallway. That's where I was. But as we in this ambulance, I could not open my eyes. We're on this bumpy, windy road. I can feel all of these things, right? And I'm trying to just hold on, hoping I didn't slide off the little gurney that they had me on. But I was just holding on. And they're speaking Japanese. And there was someone from the Peace Center that was with us. And so she was translating. And then Deborah was basically speaking for me through my heart. And no decision was made without Deborah saying, okay, that's fine. We'll try that, or we'll do that, or and I was this was a color run that Deborah had to do in that moment. See, there was no time for no.
I just want to take a moment to say thank you, Deborah. Thank you for hearing the call. I love that Marty heard two voices, the voice of the Lord and the voice of Deborah. And they were both very important voices. Yeah. So thank you, Rev Deb, for coming forward, because we need Marty Casey on this planet. We need you, Marty.
Thank you. I may be out of time. And so, Scott, I apologize if I can just finish this quick little story.
Sure. I thought you were done. I apologize.
No, I just want to just finish this little bit. I want you all to understand this was what I call a color run. There was no time for separation. We couldn't just be rainbow colors on top of colors. We couldn't just be one color or another. We had to do a color run. She literally had to be inside of the spirit of me, care enough about me to speak for me, to see for me, and to do for me. And so when I say that's what's needed right now in our lives, that's what I mean. I wouldn't be here today, I do not believe, had it not been for Deborah, for Reverend Deborah saying, I will blend, I will be a color run with Marty. And so I could go on and tell you more, but the bottom line is this: I am here. and I have more work to do. I'm no longer in the hall. I'm outside, boots on the ground, front and center, moving. And wherever I'm supposed to go every day, I wake up, I say, where is my assignment? And I say yes. So I am just asking you all to do the same. Wake up every day. And every day that you get a chance to awaken, ask, where is your assignment? And then say yes. Thank you.
Amen. Marty, I want to add one other color to your story. When we were in that ambulance, there were 3 of us. And the beautiful Rika Sayanji, who accompanied us so that she could translate the questions from the doctor and all of that. When you think of her being Asian,
yes,
that is another major color on this planet.
It was a color run. It was a color run. Do you
So
know
we really did have a rainbow right there on that bumpy ride. I was sitting on a bench and I kept levitating every time we hit a bump in the mountains.
But I have to say this, Deb, do you remember when as they gave me the IV and I started coming to, I had awakened and Rika was there and I said, Rika, where's Rev Deb? She says, oh, she's in the waiting room. I said, please go and get her. Because
Yes.
at this point that color
Yes, because I'm used to American emergency rooms. They only let one person in at a time.
I know. So then she went and got you. I dozed back off and then I woke back up and it was just you. And I was like, Rev Deb, where's Rika?
Where's Rika?
And I said, please go and get her. And the doctors actually allowed them both to stay in there with me because I knew my healing was a part of the idea of all of us being collectively together. That's where my healing was, in that color run. And I couldn't do one without the other. And as soon as we all was together, my eyes popped open and it stayed open.
So all of you can't imagine this. They had given her fluid because she was dehydrated. That was the problem. And half a bag of fluid. And suddenly, Marty was back. It was such a wonderful moment. It was like a rebirth. Really beautiful. And the doctors were lovely there too.
And that's what we could do.
Marty, I want to comment on a couple of the things that you said. Yeah. So one of the things that you said was you talked about listening and you followed on what Alexander had said. And I noticed that all of you evolutionary leaders who've spoken tonight have been quoting what each other said. And I feel like this is a new level of listening that we are all engaged in. Look at all these people from the Global Peace Tribe who are in the room with us now, listening to everybody, commenting so deeply on what's being said and all the inspiration that's coming through your being and the others, your creativity, your heart, your dedication to humanity. And so I just wanted to mention that because you brought it up and how the listening is part of the dance. So I'm so moved by your sharing and the others too, that you're all recognizing that each of us, and that includes all of you who are listening now, whether you're in the Zoom room with us, whether you're on Facebook, on YouTube, however you're hearing these messages, we are all part of this tapestry, and everyone is essential. Everyone, just like Alexander said, everyone is an evolutionary leader. And I had to have that revelation myself because in the beginning, when there were only 35 evolutionary leaders, a lot of them were really well known. And, we had Deepak Chopra and Greg Braden and Jean Houston and Barbara Marx Hubbard and Bruce Lipton and Michael Beckwith and all of these just spectacular people. And I said to Diane, who had started the Source of Synergy Foundation, which is behind all of this, I said, I don't I feel like I'm serving them. And she said, no, you're not getting it. She said, you're an evolutionary leader too. You're a member just like they are. And I was like, not getting it. And then I had an image. And the image was the evolution of humanity. It was like a wave coming up on the shore. And everyone on the edge of that wave was leading the evolution. Wow. Whether it's public or private. I love the way that everybody answered your question. You asked them how they were leading the evolution. And I want any one of you who answered that question, wherever you are, go to the Evolutionary Leaders website at evolutionaryleaders.net. Sign the call to conscious evolution, and then you can post the way that you are leading the evolution. Whatever it is. Thank you, Scott, for putting it on the screen. And you can click on the call to conscious evolution right there. You see we're almost up to 50,000 who have answered the call. You put your email, you get on our mailing list for The Edge, our newsletter, and you get to express how you are helping to lead the evolution. Somebody put in the chat that they make cookies for their neighbors' kids' birthday parties.
Oh my God.
It's all part of it. Everything you're doing from your heart, right, Marty?
Right. That's right. And it doesn't have to be big or small. There's no measurement. Right. It's the only thing is, are you doing it or you're not? That's it. That's it. So if you're saying, yes, you're doing something, then you're doing everything.
And we need you.
And we need you. I want to just add this one thing, and then I'm going to get on off the screen. But one of the things that the new evolutionary leader had spoken about, and I just thought those words was profound the other day, when he said he's not trying to gain 1 million followers, but he's trying to create something that would impact millions of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought that was so profound.
And
because
if we are whole and we are one, then everything that you do affects me.
Yes, it does. We live in a world today where social media makes you feel like if you don't have millions of followers and Facebook friends and all these things that you may not be impactful. And that is so not true. How many people did it take that day to save my life in Japan? How many people was in that ambulance? Just a handful. But every last one of those people said yes, and they did what they could do. And I am here today because of it. You are making a difference in somebody's life. And for that, we thank you.
And we thank you, Dr. Marty K. Casey.
Thank you so much, Marty. I love you so much. I put into the chat box, we did an entire show dedicated to honoring Marty a few months ago. I put the link to that in the chat box. For those of you watching on YouTube, just go to our YouTube channel, Global Peace Tribe, put in Marty Casey. You'll see about a half dozen shows that she's been on, but the first one that comes up is the one where we celebrated Marty and her wonderful work with the Ungun Institute. And there it is, that poster we talked about, Stop, Breathe, and Think. And to learn more about all that Marty is doing, please go to unguninstitute.com.
And please follow us on Facebook. We'd love for you to follow us on Facebook. I never say that. So we don't have a lot of followers, and I'm not saying it for followers, but I'm saying it so that we can continue to be intertwingled.
Speaking of intertwingling, Dr. Intertwinglement has something he wants to share.
Thank you, my neighbor. I'm so glad to be mine. I'm keeping going with Dr. Rogers' thing here. But just, I love you, Marty. I love what we're saying here. And I love the color run. And I'm thinking of another blend that's going with this, because I was talking about, learning how to human well, right? And I was saying, okay, it's important that we need to learn how to human well together. And so when you were talking about the color run, I was thinking, you know what? With my words, my term, it would be about full spectrum humaning. Full spectrum humaning, right? So we're not just humaning because in my culture and we're full spectrum humaning, and there's the rainbow that Reverend Deborah was talking about. There's the rainbow. This is the full spectrum humaning. And the the anthem, I think, is from Black Eyed Peas. One Tribe. If you haven't heard that song in a while, just listening today when I was on my run, color run. One tribe, you all, one people, one people. I love that song, and it's just. And the last thing I want to say here is I'm going to put it into the chat because it has to do with what evolutionary leaders, I think, are about. Comes from Parker Palmer's amazing book, Let Your Life Speak. And he says, leadership is a concept we often resist. It seems immodest, even self-aggrandizing to think of ourselves as leaders. But if it is true that we are made for community, then leadership is everyone's vocation, and it can be an evasion to insist that it is not. When we live in the close-knit ecosystem called community, everyone follows and everyone leads. I love that. And I think this is what evolutionary leadership is followership and leadership,
Thank
you.
Dance. It's the dance. Yeah. And it's synergy. And we were birthed through the mothership of the Source of Synergy Foundation. So that's really what we're all about. It'll kind of, we get uncomfortable because it looks like an exclusive club, but it's just about making more and more synergy as we grow and grow. And like you said, Alexander, that includes everybody, and especially everybody in the Global Peace Tribe. I love that term. Yeah. So thank you, Scott. Thank you for bringing us together.
Thanks, Scott.
Marty, make sure you read all the comments. There's so many comments. I don't even have time to read.
Okay.
We are about an hour over time, so I'm going to move us forward. Love you so much, Marty. Thank you.
We have somebody extraordinary to meet.
Well, and we have, I know, all these people are extraordinary.
I know.
I want to tell a very quick story about people making a difference. It's an extraordinary story, and when I tell it, I may cry because it brings tears to my eyes. They recently released papers from the Nixon administration. You know how they keep secure documents secure for certain periods of time. And they released a vault of things that took place during his presidency recently. And what came out was that when Nixon was president and America was clearly losing the Vietnam War, on a rainy day, a group of generals came to the White House and presented a plan to use nuclear weapons on Hanoi. And they were all ready to do it. Nixon, as commander-in-chief, had, if he said yes, do it, that would have happened. That particular day, it was a rainy day in Washington, D.C., and Nixon had gone out for some reason, and when he came back in, he saw all these hippies outside the White House protesting the Vietnam War, getting soaked in the rain. And literally, there's a quote in these papers where he says, look at all those kids out in the rain. If we drop nuclear weapons, what the hell are they going to do next? And he said no. Now, those kids probably thought to themselves, nobody's paying any attention to us. What are we really doing here? And probably most of them will never know that they directly led to a huge decision that saved untold lives. Sometimes we never know how the actions we take with the right intention make a change in the world. And I kind of, with what you said, Marty, at the end, I just felt inspired to share that story. And with that, we now get to go to digest Marty and to digest Dr. Rogers, Alexander, Laszlo. We're going to digest my favorite way with some enzymes provided by our wonderful Tatiana through the form of her beautiful music.
Wow, that was a gloriously juicy, yummy privilege to listen to you, Marty, and also to you, Alexander. I'm feeling the color blend. I'm feeling the entringlement. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. I'm feeling it all. And yeah, it's just a deep honor to be here with both of you. And yeah, I feel like for me it was so interesting to hear how you were kind of thinking about leadership. And I loved, Marty, how you brought it back to, oh, I gotta go on gallery view here. Brought it back to all of us engaging in this inquiry, and all of us seeing ourselves as leaders. And I feel like I also loved what you said about the following and the listening and the leading, because that is very much what it feels like to me as well. It feels like a deep attunement to how Spirit wants to move through us. And I feel like the deep prayer of my heart is to be an instrument, to actually get out of the way as much as I can, and be used for something deeper, more powerful than my little self. And I've had moments of really feeling like I stepped out of the way and was used, and that is the highest form my life takes when those moments come. And yeah, I just feel like that's really what I'm up to. And so I feel called to share a song. So there's budding new music happening in me right now I have not shared really publicly, only in women's circle. And this is very new, but basically what's been happening is that different, I don't know what to call them, deities, goddesses have been coming to collaborate with me on songs. I don't know how else to put it, really. It started with the Sumerian goddess Inanna, who I had never even heard of, and all of a sudden her name was just channeling again and again through this music. And then I went and I researched Inanna, and then that led to actually taking an ancient Sumerian script and putting it to music. And there's just been, and then bringing it to women's circles and having women sing these ancient hymns and chants. So far Inanna has come, Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, Hathor, didn't know, some Egyptian, an Egyptian goddess. And anyway, I feel called today to share the one that came with Mary Magdalene. And yeah, this has been a real journey of learning how to be an instrument, because it's felt like there was a transmission wanting to come through, and that it's actually meant to be sung in group chants with other women and other voices singing it. So anyway, we'll see how this goes. But is everyone here familiar with Mary Magdalene? Is that someone yes? Okay.
Christy definitely is. You should probably spotlight Christy, Scott, for this song.
Yeah, we've done entire shows on Mary Magdalene.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, we've done entire shows on it. Christy Michaels, that's one of her major callings.
Oh, wow. Okay, amazing.
We've had Eden Amador, who leads trips to France, where they go back to where Mary Magdalene went after the crucifixion and resurrection. So, okay. Christy Michaels, this is for you.
That's so, I kept hearing this song was meant to be played, and I've never played it in this setting or without a group. Anyway, so this is very special. So thank you for telling me that she is someone you're close with. So here we go. Miriam HaKadosha Achuvad Yeshua Miriam HaKadosha Achuvad Elohim Adonai Shekinah. The way of love is the way home. We walk the path of the Holy Ones. The way of love is the way home. We walk the path of the Holy Ones. Elohim Adonai, Elohim Adonai, Elohim. Divine love, Sophia Christ, awaken me to who I am. Divine love, Sophia Christ, awaken me to who I am. Miriam HaKedosha, Miriam HaKedosha, Miriam. Let us remember who we are. Sisters of the rose, we gather now in the Sacred Heart. Sisters of the rose, we gather now in the Sacred Heart. Miriam, Yeshua, divine love, Sophia Christ, Miriam, Yeshua, divine love. The way of love is the way home. We walk the path of the Holy Ones. The way of love is the way home. We walk the path of the Holy One. Of the Holy One.
Well, we are definitely going to make an edit of that song and pop it on our special playlist. That was amazing. Tatiana, you just touch us in so many profound ways. I want to remind people that you can find all things Tatiana on the website. It's her name, TatianaSpeed.com. And like Rev Deb was saying, there's so many things that she's doing. You can learn about her New Year's Reset Retreat coming up January 10th to the 12th. That's going to be in British Columbia on the Sunshine Coast. And boy, imagine doing a retreat with Tatiana. And this is what she was also talking about, the embodied path of the awakening woman. And if you click here, it'll take you to where you learn more about it. She's got her Oasis Women's Circle. So these are wonderful ways to work with Tatiana on a regular basis.
Yes, and the Oasis Women's Circle is starting again December 1st.
Perfect.
And that is an online body-based feminine sanctuary and community where we're doing deep somatic work, reconnecting with our bodies, coming into these beautiful temples, this beautiful instrument. But what's a new thing is actually bringing in the vocal alchemy. So these songs, we chant some of them together and we go into goddess mythology. So it's kind of a combination of somatics to support nervous system and reconnection to the body, but then also bringing in mythology and connecting to these codings, these ancient goddess codings that can support like very deep transformation and alchemy. So yeah, we're starting again. It's online. We start again December 1st. And if any women are interested in coming, please reach out to me. I don't know if that's, yes, you can learn more there. Yes. Yeah. There's not a link to register yet though. So if you are interested in coming, send me a direct message.
Beautiful. That looks beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I am going to go back to your website because I want to point out a couple of other things. She's started this wonderful video series with her beloved. We showed one of the segments and it's just beautiful. So check out The Road Less Traveled and learn all about the difference between a cow and a buffalo.
Yes, you will learn many things like that.
And we also featured this album, and it's incredible, Lullabies for Adults. And I love this album. Many of us, I think, were original little patrons who paid little amounts to help get it going. And it's a beautiful, beautiful recording. So definitely stay connected, put in your name, and, let's support Tatiana. We need to support our artists. It's very, very important. Tatiana, don't go away because I want to read a couple of comments and then I'm going to ask you to do one more birthday song. But some comments coming in. Ayada writes, Tatiana, this is such deep and tender soul medicine. Connie and Andrew are just so excited to watch your partnership with Mark, your beloved. And Pam writes, Tatiana's somatic work teaches us inner twinkling. Dr. Laura writes, Tatiana, your singing is liquid love. It pours over my soul, nourishing it. So beautiful to praise the goddess of us from Limb and Leaf. Susan Bloomquist writes, our hearts open with your lifting vocals. And yes, several people saying definitely make a edit of this, and I will. I'll make sure. Thank you to my friends who helped with that. And Ayada's asking, is Lullabies for Adults released now? Can we get it?
No, it's not, but it's the first single is actually coming next week. And then I'm going to be releasing singles, and then we finally reached a stable destination from our road less traveled journeys. So we're actually finishing the album this month. So the full album will be done soon, but we'll have singles dropping. The first couple singles coming in. Actually, one single will be dropping this week. So
as soon as it's ready, when the album's ready, let me know and I'll promote it on the show.
Okay, that's amazing. Thank you, Scott.
We have a very special birthday. It is.
Wait, just before you go to the birthday, I want to say one more thing about Tatiana's song.
Of course.
I just love the way she brought in the goddess energy a couple of hours into the show that began with the Divine Mother's love.
Right.
That's actually what inspired it. You brought that in the beginning, and I was like, "Ooh, I want to carry this theme going." So, love that you brought that back.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you for doing that. Okay, birthday time again.
Good point. No, thank you. Point well taken. All right, we are putting the spotlight on our beloved friend Ian. And Eleanor, do you want to share a little bit about Ian and his birthday?
Well, Ian's birthday is actually December 23rd, but he's talked about how he wished as a child that he could have had a non-Christmas birthday.
That is so.
So his son and I decided to up the ante and bring it up to November. So it's tomorrow that we're having a big celebration with some of his longtime friends.
Yeah, which I am really looking forward to, and have been thinking about how much love I want to spread there.
And same question that I asked Piper, what's your vision for the next cycle around the sun, Ian?
To uplift humanity in every way that I can, and to spread love, compassion, and understanding.
And so it is. And we'll all sing along. Keep yourselves muted, but sing along as we sing Happy Birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, our dear beloved Ian. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, Ian.
He's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good... I don't know the rest of that song. He's a jolly good fellow, which nobody can deny.
I'm going to go to gallery view. Let's all twinkle Ian. We love Ian. Yay. I have an important Global Peace Tribe announcement, and there's still more. We have Omar Shar coming, we have Rutendo coming. But you might recall that a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago tonight, we had our post-election show. And you might remember John Kenyon and Katrina Valancourt. And they just did a little brief example of what it's like to have a conversation. And a lot of people expressed a desire to come together. And instead of it being a typical Awakening World show where there's presenters, just a group would come together and with John and Katrina facilitating, have a conversation about our feelings. Not to be political, but just acknowledging that there's a lot of strong feelings people are having, like Alexander talked about earlier today, the swing from hope to desperation. So Katrina leaves for Egypt later next week, at the end of next week, but we could do it, I'm sorry, she was in 10 days. We could do it on Monday, December 1st or Tuesday, December 2nd. So if you would want to participate in a special Awakening World conversation on either the night of December 1st or the night of December 2nd, that's a Monday and a Tuesday, please put into the, or it might be the 2nd and the 3rd, Monday the 2nd, Tuesday the 3rd it is, I apologize. Put into the chat box, yes, I would like to come, and which of those 2 nights you would be available. And I'm going to need to, hear from at least enough of you to know that it's something that people want to have happen. So please put that into the chat box. And I'm now going to turn it back over to Reverend Deborah Moldau, affectionately known as Rev Deb, to introduce a very, very special evolutionary leader that you're all about to meet by video.
Oh my, this woman will knock your socks off, as she did mine when I first met her. So Rutendo Lornara is an African indigenous knowledge systems practitioner. She's a transdisciplinary researcher and speaker from Southern Africa, whose professional interests span from clinical engineering, healthcare technology management, socioeconomic development, mathematics, leadership, and fashion design, to the interface between science, culture, cosmology, and paradigms of healing. She is a deeply spiritual person. She's involved through the Earth Rise Collective, which is based in South Africa, with people who are indigenous knowledge holders all over the world. And yet she has a degree in engineering. She studied medicine. She'll tell you about this in the video. And you can see just from the light in her being, what a warm and beautiful person she is. And it's very special that Scott was able to do this interview with her, because she is at the climate talks in Baku, Azerbaijan. And they pick them up at 7:30 in the morning and they bring them back at like 9 o'clock at night. And there's terrible internet where she is. And somehow she managed to carve out a time to talk to Scott and tell him a little bit about her life and her background. And I hope you will be as fascinated as I am. This is Rutendo.
Here we go. Welcome, Rutendo, to the Awakening World. Rev Deb gave a beautiful introduction. And please tell us a little bit about your extraordinary life and what you're doing to lead the evolution.
Thank you so much, Scott. It was such a pleasure to be here on the Evolutionary Leaders and also in the Awakening World. So my name is Rutendo Lornara, as has been said, and I am from Southern Africa. And I like to say Southern Africa because I was born in Zimbabwe with a mother from Lesotho, have lived in the Southern African region, currently in South Africa. And my birth was quite interesting. I was accidentally born in Zimbabwe. And then without a passport, my parents had to smuggle me across 3 borders to get me to my mother's country, where I was supposed to be born in the first place. So they smuggled me in the boot of a Volkswagen Beetle. And at the time, Zimbabwe was in the heat of war, and South Africa was in the fire of apartheid. So I believe that this crossing across warring states and across borders without a passport has really ignited in me what it means to cross borders through conflicting times. And growing up, I loved science. I loved taking things apart and seeing how they fitted together. I loved understanding maths. I loved understanding, physics. But I also really loved art. I wanted to be a fashion designer, And we were told that you can't be an artist and a scientist. You had to choose. And which seemed strange for me, because I realized that within me I had the potential to cross kind of the disciplinary borders. I eventually chose to do electrical engineering with a view to doing biomedical engineering later. And the reason I chose to do electrical engineering was because I found a definition that said engineering is the application of science for the development of humanity. And so I thought, wow, I can do science, but I can also do humanity, all in one go. Of course, that is not what I found as I was studying. And to my disappointment, engineering seemed to be, how can we best exploit science, for technological advancement without taking into consideration sustainable humanity, but also without taking into consideration the environment in which we are a part of. And also not asking perhaps the why questions. Why this technology? Is it appropriate, for the times that we're in? Or is it just showing how clever we are, in being able to manipulate the forces of nature? And so as I studied philosophy and I studied psychology, because I was really interested in what is the why of it. And in that, I, as an undergraduate or in my honors final year, I actually created a prototype for how do we measure consciousness, or this was my aim, to measure consciousness through the human bioenergetic field, and how does the electronics convert that to music, this was my project, which I really wanted to see what is that connection between where we are and how our state of consciousness impacts our bioenergetic field, and how we can allow technology to sense that in a way that it is able to produce music that can feed back into raising consciousness. It was the dream of a young 20-something-year-old in South Africa, which was probably not the right time to be having that dream. But perhaps that is something that I'm still very curious about. It's hard to find these nexuses, across disciplines and across realms. I then went on to biomedical engineering because I really wanted to understand how do you apply engineering to medicine. And what my disillusionment there was that we were not allowed, well, I was not allowed in my thesis to include patients in my study. I was looking at medical equipment. And to me, patients were critical because they're the ones that are impacted the most. And so I really was asking questions about, how is technology appropriate, on the one hand, and who is it appropriate for? As we are creating technology. In time, I then went to study medicine because I'm trying to get closer to humanity, which was my original impulse when I was wanting to study. And my disillusionment there was that the patient was a pathology in a location. It was a particular pathology in a particular ward, in a particular bed. But the holistic nature of who that patient was and what led to their being that pathology in that location was perhaps not being addressed with a very biomedical view of medicine. I had an experience where there was a ward which I would somehow always pass out in. It was a children's ward. And when I was asked why I would pass out in that ward, I could sense that there was something in the more than medical world that was affecting these children, and it had a very high mortality rate and they would die. And I later then did an elective in palliative care where I was in a hospice for children that would, when the children had about 2 days to die, they'd be taken off their peg or their feeding tubes and they'd be taken to this hospice for a comfortable death. And it was kind of predicted that it would be 2 days in the hospice before they passed on. And then one day my supervisor, the resident pediatrician, came to me and told me, Rutendo, tomorrow, please leave your stethoscope and white coat at home. And, I kept asking, why should I do that? I need the white coat to be sterile. I need the stethoscope to do my, to do my vitals. And eventually she said, Rutendo, if you see the baby in that bed, that baby should have died 10 days ago. And she said, there's a baby in that bed, that baby should have died 12 days ago. And she said, this baby is going home today. There's something that you're doing this ward that's outside the realms of medicine that's making the babies live. That's the medicine you should be doing. And with that, I then went on into a very deep dive in indigenous knowledge from an African perspective, but beyond as well, and initiating very deeply in ancient wisdom to see what was it that was making the dying babies live. And so that's been my journey, has been really very deeply going into explicating so many of our knowledge systems that have been marginalized and illegitimized by colonialism, by modernity, and bringing them into the fore and into the core, and allowing conversations now that I've done a lot of initiations, which I'll never stop doing, doing conversations between the paradigms, a conversation between the indigenous paradigm and the modern paradigm, a conversation between science and indigenous knowledge, between economics and indigenous knowledge, and how can the knowledges that sustain societies and the environment for millennia have a say in our common day, is the work that I do. I believe that, as I said, I was born during revolutionary times when the countries were seeking a revolution, seeking independence, from colonialism. I believe that we're in a re-evolutionary times when we really are seeking to find our own inner evolution as to how that impacts society, and how that impacts the planet, and how that impacts the cosmos. For our, at this time, powerful time, which I believe is a powerful time of turning, as has been prophesied by so many indigenous groups around the world, especially the times that we're in. And part of how I do this is with the Earthrise Collective. I'm privileged to be part of this incredible collective where we have knowledge holders, wisdom keepers from around the world. And we're talking as far as Siberia to Aotearoa, New Zealand, to the south of Chile, the Mapuche people of Chile, to Peru, to Benin, to Southern Africa, to the Hopi, to North America, to Canada. So we have an incredible cohort of knowledge holders who are really coming together to find what is a meta-cosmovision that is based on the original instruction, but has the depth of millennia of wisdom, that is able to respond to the common time. But not just
since you brought up the Earthwise Collective, I just want to bring up the website because what you're sharing is really fascinating to our audience. So if people want to learn more about this extraordinary collective, as she says, wisdom from all around the world, the website is earthrisecollective.com. Earthrise, R-I-S-E, collective.com. And that's where people can learn much more about what she's doing. And if you want to get on their email list, click in the upper right-hand corner where it says contacts. And right here, you can leave your name, email address, and a message. And there's a lot. This is a very rich website where you can find out about all the different speakers. They've got full moon gatherings. And if you click Meet the Collective, that's where you'll be able to see. Look at all these extraordinary people. There's Rutendo, who we're talking with right now. And there's Mindahi. He's been on the show before. So beautiful. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but since we're talking about it, I wanted to take people there.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much for that. And I think what's perhaps special about the Earthrise Collective is we're not just looking at ancient wisdom, but we're looking at wisdom, as a whole. So many of our community, our collective, are activists in their own rights and in their own territories, whether it is in the Amazon, whether it is, in Siberia, as I've said, in India, really working to protect the environments, but in some ways to regenerate the environments. So we have the pleasure, for instance, having the waterman of India who has regenerated, rivers, within Rajasthan in India, which were dry. So just showing that it is possible to go from a state of desertification into a state of regeneration. And we have examples of that within our collective. But we also have within our collective scholars and thought leaders and people who are at the cutting edge of seeing what are the new ways in which we need to come together as humanity, for the times that we're in. And we kind of see that we're all together in a new canoe, trying to chart the new waters of the times that we're in, crossing disciplines, as I've said, but crossing cultures in this cultural, trans-epistemological collective. In an activism that is rooted in love, and in an activism that is rooted in a premise from the Akan people of Ghana, which is Sankofa, that it is right to go back and fetch that which was in the past, to bring it into the present, to create a greater future for the generations to come. So what are we doing for Awakening Evolution? It's really around reawakening our potential, our inner potential, but reawaken it within the arms and the heart of our indigenous knowledges, our ancient wisdoms, merging it into the dominant paradigm, into our common day. And I still personally have that desire to finish my prototype, seeing how do we then translate consciousness, through a vessel that we have as it relates itself to the bioenergetic field, through technology to create music.
Wow. Well, we only get to have a little homeopathic dose of you tonight because we got 7 amazing people that we're introducing. But I do want to let people know about the course that you're teaching. Now, it just began last week, but there's a recording and people can still join it. And she's going to describe it in a moment. But for those of you watching on Facebook or YouTube, if you want to go to the website right now, it's advaya.life/courses/sacred-sites. That's ADVAYA.life/courses/sacred-sites. Okay, and I'll put that into our Zoom room chat box, of course. But Rutendo, tell us a little bit about this course.
Yes, so as I said, our premise is Sankofa, going back to fetch it into the present for the greater future. And part of what we are looking at within the Earthrise Collective is how do we interact with place and how do we interact with time, and because our indigenous knowledges were always very specific about place and time. And in that is so many of the sites that are sacred in the world. How do we interact with them in a way that the planet is able to work in harmony with us for this awakening, evolution, or re-evolution, as I like to speak about it. And so we have the 6-module course on sacred sites, with everything looking at sacred sites and indigenous spirituality, looking at sacred sites and biodiversity, looking at, as I said, that nexus between time and space. How do we align with the cosmos as humanity? And then also how do sacred sites become places of learning or ecoversities? But so many of them are under threat. What are the legal frameworks that are being put in place to protect them? And how do we, wherever we are as individuals, but also as indivisible dualities, as a collective, become guardians of sacred sites for the collective, for the betterment of the whole?
Wow, beautiful. My dog jumped up. I hope you don't mind. She jumped up to say hello. Wonderful, wonderful work that you're doing, Rutendo. And hopefully I'll meet you. Do you think you'll be able to make it out if we have a Evolutionary Leaders Retreat in California in May? Do you think you'll be able to make it out for that?
Oh, I'd love that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that would be amazing.
I know that that's where we're trying to make happen. I'm on the council where we organize these things, and we're trying to find the right location, and it looks like it'll be somewhere in Southern California. So,
amazing.
yeah, and I need to move on because we've got all these other wonderful people. But what a joy to meet you! Thank you for the wonderful work that you're doing. And I'm sure that members of our Awakening World audience are going to want to check out your course and certainly check out the Earthwise Collective. And I look forward to many future conversations with you as the years go by.
Thank you so much, Scott, and thank you so much to Reverend Deb. Thank you.
Is that an amazing human being?
Yeah.
And when I met Rutendo, which I was fortunate to do at our Evolutionary Leaders Retreat last January here in Mexico, she was. We were at a very sacred site, and she was standing there with a smudge pot in her hand, waiting for us to arrive so that she could bless us and grace us before we went into ceremony there. And I, had no idea she was going to be there. And suddenly there's this African woman in this beautiful headdress and garb, and just bringing a very important part of the world into our world. And she clearly has a tremendous mission on this planet. All of the things she was talking about doing, the babies that stayed alive because of her presence.
Something?
She never said, oh, I was doing XYZ. No, she brings something. Her light is so strong that it actually was healing children.
Yeah.
So we're so honored to welcome her into the Evolutionary Leaders Circle, along with the other marvelous beings that you've met tonight, and one that you've met before.
To Omar Shar in one moment, I do want the because several people in the chat box were asking. So again, the Earthrise Collective, this is an extraordinary website. And somebody asked who else is in there. And I kind of did that briefly, but look at all these people from South America, USA, South Africa, Australia, Mexico, South Africa.
Well, and she was talking about a project in India. She mentioned several countries in what she does. Her reach is extraordinary, and there she is at the climate talks right now.
Yeah,
she's just an amazing human being, and you could see her warmth and how lovely she is. In addition. Mindahi calls her a rock star.
Is a rock star. And, you know, everybody, we take special segments like this and I post them on our Global Peace Tribe YouTube channel. So if you want to go back and watch that little segment, it's already posted on our YouTube channel. You can pause it, and that's where you can get the information about the course that she started last week, but people can still join. Thank you, Rev Dab, for staying up late. And you on Sunday mornings sing in the choir. But there's one more person to introduce, and I'd love to give you the opportunity to share a little bit about this person, and I'll take over from there.
Well, it almost doesn't seem right for me to introduce Omar Shar when he is your house musician, and that's how I met him. But everyone on this call knows what a special soul Omar Shar is. And the music that flows through his soul is always uplifting. We are always dancing to his music. And he just has this special quality of being totally present. And that's why he can also help you with the tech stuff behind the scenes. And he's truly got that servant leadership quality. And I love his style that he calls meta pop, that gets us uplifted and joyful the way pop music can do. And yet he always has a message that is so profound that it reaches right down into our souls. So I'm really excited to have him here every week, and with the Evolutionary Leaders Circle now as well.
Yeah, it's, I would not have continued doing the Awakening World if Omar Shar hadn't showed up. That's how important he is to me personally and to the Global Peace Tribe. And he's such a beautiful brother. He is in Peru right now, but he will watch the recording of the show because that's the way he is. He'll be back on Wednesday night. And here is a special message from Omar Shar specifically for tonight.
That's right. Recording is in progress, and history or herstory is being recorded right now. And greetings, beloved family, from the Sacred Valley in Peru, where I and another bunch of intrepid voyagers, nay, evolutionary leaders, are holding ceremony from around the fire to sacred sites, to many sacred lands and sacred lakes and rivers. And there are, I think, 19 different countries represented by the group here, and we're all truly from different diverse background, all colors, races, and religions are in this group. It's amazing. And I'm sending out my love from here to thee all as I speak. And it is truly an honor for me to have been invited into the Evolutionary Leaders Network. And in my mind, let's say, there are so many aspects involved in leading the evolution. I have seen that the trajectory of humanity's evolution has been thwarted and dumbed down by mental domination over the eons to such an extent that the heart-led balance that would have seen us rising together as one humanity has been so stymied that it is now ready to burst its banks back onto the front lines of our evolution, and hallelujah for that. Heart-centered leaders are called for now, and a network such as the Evolutionary Leaders is more than timely. It may seem a small start, however, there are thousands of evolutionary groups spread around the world, and we are becoming connected. My input, of course, is through music, and as I daily evolve and transform my individualized consciousness, I, along with others of like momentum, affect from the inside the whole of human consciousness. My inner evolution is transmitted through my songwriting, and there through the vibration and frequency to those listening, and those listening can be transformed often without even knowing it. So shh, it's a secret. There are so many of us working out in the field along with Rumi, doing our part to better our world. And for me, all outer appearances arise from within. Everything starts in here and gets manifested out there. So with that in mind and heart, it is up to each of us to tend to our own gardens, so that what we are transmitting is creating the new garden that we know is arising now. No government or corporation or other can do it for us. And the time really is now. This is not a practice run. That's my opinion, let's say. So this show, The Awakening World, is in itself an evolutionary leader, as is this song. And so whilst I change my microphone source and pull from the unknown my microphone,
Scott, we lost the sound.
Through our hearts, through our lives, as we take the next steps together, walking tall, no disguise. Here we are again, loving all we see, lift each other up, let each other be, healing all the past, healing you and me, loving all that's gone, loving what's to be. The awakening world is rising through our hearts, through our lives, as we take the next steps together, walking tall, no disguise. Nothing left to say, nothing left to do. Let your spirit shine, let your soul on through. Time is what we have, and time to think anew. Let inspiration flow, let inspiration flow.
Yes, indeed, the awakening world. And I can see you, but I'm going to twinkle you and I'm going to say namaste. And in the words of beloved Swami, namasko. And we will see you soon. I love you all, as I know you love me. And thank you, Scott. I'm going to press the stop now. So, ta-ta.
Is anyone, I wanted to go to all of you who were dancing, but I guess when I did that, it cut out the sound. So I loved watching everybody moving and dancing. Eleanor Joy was dancing there too a little while ago. Isn't that a perfect way, Rev Deb, to close out the show?
Couldn't be more perfect. And I love that he quoted the Swami too.
Yes.
Namaste and namasko. And Steve Behrman is another evolutionary leader. Oh, Scott, you have created such a special space here. All the comments in the chat are about how this is not only a community, but a family. And several people have said that they wouldn't think of doing anything else on a Saturday night, that this is so special.
I love reading that. Yeah. Thank you, Carol Craig, for what you shared. And yeah, that's special to me. Well, same for me. I can't imagine doing anything. There's a big party I was invited to tonight. In fact, a lot of people are having Anastara and Liz. I was like, no, I'm going to be doing the Awakening World. So
thank you, Scott. Thank you, Scott. And it means so much to our community of evolutionary leaders. First of all, you are such an integral part of that community now. You do serve on the council and you served on the nominations team and you show up for us and in so many ways to help shape our future and hold our feet to the fire so that we operate with integrity. And you give this beautiful opportunity for people to showcase who they are and what they're doing. And I don't know of any other space like this. There are a lot of interview programs on the internet, one-on-one, but no, this is different. This is different because you have a number of people on each show. You curate them so carefully. You always include music. And most importantly, the community who shows up in the Zoom room gets to participate, gets to comment, and you constantly go into the chat to see what they're thinking and feeling and how they're reacting. You ask them questions, and they are part of the show. So this is it's like next level television where it's actually interactive. That's not just like an empty concept, but something that you make happen week after week after week. You show up and you offer this service from deep in your heart. And we honor you, dear Scott. And please put it on gallery view so we can all honor you.
Thank you. Whew, thank you. Oh, look at all those twinkles. Well, I've grown to love each and every one of the people here. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Rev Deb. I adore you, Rev Deb.
Feelings mutual.
And Rev Deb, I'm a sacred mirror for her because she makes the whole Evolutionary Leaders Circle. I used to call it the Evolutionary Leaders Network. I want to clarify, it's circle, not network. She's who really makes it happen. And boy, all that you did for curating all the nominees and the nominees meetings, and then and getting emails out to everybody and following up and making sure that the people who nominated them are connected. You really have done a lot.
Thank you. And if anybody wants information about any of the guests who were on the show, just go to evolutionaryleaders.net. They all have bios there and websites, and you can find out more. And usually on their website, you can contact them as well. And I'm sure they'd love to hear from you because you are the Global Peace Tribe.
Exactly. Yeah, everybody definitely go visit evolutionaryleaders.net. There's a lot going on there. And of course, we've highlighted it over the years. And if you haven't gotten our moment of choice yet, both things, please purchase a copy of our moment of choice featuring 43. It's an anthology book, 43 different leaders writing in it. And then join the call to conscious evolution, like we took a look at earlier today. Click here, sign the call, and put in what you're doing, like we talked about earlier. What are you doing to lead the evolution? Because each and every one of you are doing that. I look out, I see our wonderful mystic monastery monk, Jerry Anderson, a steward of 10,000 acres. Connie and Andrew, who are going to be on the show next week. Sylvia, and each and every one of you in your own ways. Christy Michaels is so cute when Tatiana said, does anybody know Mary Magdalene? We do entire shows on Mary Magdalene. And Christy Michaels is always at the center of those shows. So each and every one of you are evolutionary leaders, and you are all doing wonderful things. And, speaking of next week, we always show what's coming up next. And of course, it's our annual pre-Thanksgiving show. Connie and Andrew will be with us, sharing about the true history of that first Thanksgiving. Omar Shar will be back. He will be back with us live. Mayor Cromwell is going to come join us. She's a new guest, and she's doing some very powerful work in the Appalachian Valley. Tangela is coming on with a special Thanksgiving message. And you guys remember AJ and Thomas? They're this beautiful gay couple that channel together. And they're just fabulous. When we had our anniversary show, and I spontaneously asked Omar Shar, what moment over the last few years stands out for you? He chose Thomas and AJ. They're this just beautiful couple, beautiful gay couple.
And by the way, Tangela Islam is also a new evolutionary leader this year.
That's right. And I'm who nominated her, actually. It's all one big, it is one big happy family. All right. Rev Deb, get a good night's rest.
And namasko.
Dr. Marty is still with us. So, Marty, thank you so much, Marty K, for all that you do and still being with us on this planet. Thank you, God, exiting stage left. And we love you. Good night, everybody. Have a beautiful Sacred Sunday tomorrow. A week from tomorrow, we are going to do a Sacred Sunday show with Tangela and Omar Shar. And God's blessings, everybody.